So this is pretty interesting. So, former state West Virginia senator, I believe he was a state senator in West Virginia, and also a brief presidential candidate, Richard Ojeda, has now announced his candidacy for a Senate run against Republican Senator Shelley Moore Capito in West Virginia. So, what's interesting about this is that Paula Jean Swearengin is already running there. Now, she ran last time against Joe Manchin. She got, I believe, 30% of the vote. So, not bad. It's pretty good for a candidate who got outspent by so much money, Richard is now entering this race, and Paula Jean doesn't seem to be very happy about that. This one says, I support Paula Jean. I just donated her campaign from Texas. And Paula Jean says, thank you. And she's definitely, she's in the replies to all of this. This reminded me to donate to Paula Jean. Thank you from Paula Jean. So, she does not like Richard Ojeda. She had previously posted some messages from Richard Ojeda on the issue of Brett Kavanaugh, where she was basically saying that he was weak on Brett Kavanaugh and everything. So she's definitely not a fan of Richard Ojeda, and she does not like that he is running against her. Now, certainly there's no good reason to have two progressives like this running. Now, the question is there a more progressive candidate? Yeah, it's Paula Jean Swearengin, and Ojeda doesn't really know his full political ideas. So, he didn't have a healthcare plan when he was running for president. He hadn't developed a healthcare plan yet. So he didn't really know what his healthcare plan was. So he doesn't have a fully, fleshed out political philosophy or, just a list of positions, essentially. He had to adopt those, whereas Paula Jean already has hers, So we kind of know he's kind of, he's never voted a Democrat before. He's got a kind of weird past type of thing. And just numerically, considering that Paula Jean had already got 30% in the previous election, it makes sense to build on that for her name ID to further and for her to have a better chance of winning, obviously. It makes more sense to do that rather than to have two progressives running and splitting the vote. It literally makes no sense for this to happen. So he definitely shouldn't be running in this race because it just lowers the odds of a progressive winning because you're just going to split the vote, which doesn't make any sense. Now, he released this advertisement, which I think would be pretty receptive for people. It's him working out, talking about his time as a veteran, talking about PTSD. The 2018 teacher strike is right here he's talking about. He talks about how he's not going to take any corporate money. He says he can't be bought. Ojeda's biggest issue is corruption. And I do think that he has the strongest plan when it comes to corruption. But I think that is the only issue where he's really number one. Ojeda is number one in terms of closing the revolving door. There's no doubt about that. He does have the strongest, most fleshed out policy on that. But with everything else, he's pro-labor and all that stuff. But he's not very specific on his plans. So I definitely think you should support Paula Jean. And I think that Richard Ojeda running in this race is a very stupid idea.